The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Yes, it is, let's see, what is today? Oh, it is Monday, March 9th, 2026, and today is a National Napping Day, Gary.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Does Tiger take a lot of cat naps?
I think the tiger naps like 20 hours a day.
Oh, man. It's also National Meatball Day. I mean, is that for Italian guys?
Well, I'm into meatballs.
But don't they call Italian guys meatballs? Isn't that like a slang thing?
In an inappropriate way, maybe.
I think they do. I think I've heard that a few times. See, it's also National Crab Meat Day.
Well, we still have stone crabs down here.
I like, you know what I'm saying? Crab meat is good. I think like my favorite is probably a white shell crab. It would be my favorite over all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Then what else do we have? Oh, too bad Jenny Beth isn't here for this one. She would have loved this one. It's National Barbie Day.
This is.
Let's see, and of course, last but not least, this may be my favorite day, and this is the day that I say is for all liberals out there. You ready, Gary? National Get Over It Day.
There you go.
Yes, and on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet, and we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we, I have an interesting story for you today. I feel like, because Michael is not here yet, I think I'm going to go with my second story first, because I definitely want Michael's opinion on this one. Of course, yours as well, Gary, but you're here, so I don't, you know what I'm saying? That's why I didn't mention your opinion, because we're going to get your opinion regardless. But I think I'm going to go to what would have been my second story if everybody would have been here on time. Let's see. Because I think this is really dumb, Gary. Really dumb. Okay, I'm just telling you right now. Okay, and this actually affects you, Gary. This in particular. Oh, look who decided to make it.
Hey, don't talk to me crazy.
Look who decided to make it. Well, Gary, marijuana stores cannot call themselves dispensaries. Michigan agency says. That's right. The Cannabis Regulatory Agency wants small businesses that legally sell the drug to stop calling themselves dispensaries. Instead, they should call themselves provisioning centers.
Retailers.
If that's not the That's the most retarded name I've ever heard in my life. I don't know what is. Provisioning centers. A notice from regulators sent this week to businesses with a license to sell cannabis reminded them that medical marijuana facilities must refer to themselves only as provisioning centers and not as dispensaries. The terminology refers to any business with license obtained under either the Medical Marijuana with a H Facilities Licensing Act and the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana with an H Act. According to the state's public health code, dispensary is a term restricted only to entities operating under a separate set of laws relating to pharmacy practice and drug controls. Regulators included a list of terms that licensed businesses cannot use, you guys. They include pharmacy, apothecary, drugstore, druggist, and medicine store. Additionally, the term dispensary cannot be used in advertising and marketing materials, and they say licensed medical marijuana facilities and licensed adult use establishments are required to refer to and advertise themselves in compliance with applicable statutes and administrative rules. This is the most ridiculous component of the regulatory body that I have heard come out of Michigan yet, besides, of course, the 24% excise tax increase. But nonetheless, what do you all have to say about this? And Gary, this affects you because you have dispensaries in Michigan.
No, he has provisioning stores in Michigan.
Oh, provisioning stores. Excuse me.
We have retailers. It's nothing new. I mean, it's in the statute. This is something that Michigan has made clear previously, and I've included in my compliance presentations to the retailer employees. But it also is just indicative of how crazy the state by state marijuana laws are, and it's such semantics. Obviously, they're doing it because of pharmacies. Pharmacies dispense medicine and in the state of Michigan, and they don't want people to be confused. I don't think they would be confused, but it is something that Michigan has hammered home, and for whatever reason, I guess people aren't listening because they just re-upped their guidance last week.
Mm-hmm. What if they? Well, why can't you advertise yourself as a pharmacy and spell it Pharmacy? They didn't include that in the regulations.
If you want to poke the regulatory bear, which is something we always try to avoid, you certainly can do that. But there's no real advantage to that.
Well, I mean,
Jason, he just told you this is old news, bud.
It's not old news because the story just came out.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I think Michigan has bigger problems, right, with the amount of diversion that's happening in the state. I think they probably have bigger hurdles to care about. But, I guess if people are going to get confused when they walk in and see a bunch of weed instead of Tylenol, they're not going to know where they are,
Unless it's Tylenol with CBD.
Yeah, well, that's not a thing, so.
Just wait. It's coming, Jenny Beth. It's coming. Well, Michigan. On that, I guess we're going to roll into our first commercial, and we're going to be right back. Oh, man, and we are back. Oh, man, let me get back up here to this first story. I'm sorry, you guys. Here we go. There was a study, Gary, of what marijuana's move to Schedule 3 will and will not change under federal law. That's right. A new policy analysis published in the Journal of Cannabis and Cannabinoid Research and by the U.S. National Library of Medicine examines what moving marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 will actually mean under federal law and what it would not. Conducted by researchers from the University of California, the analysis reviews the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services recommendation to reschedule marijuana, legal guidance from the Congressional Research Service, and broader research on administrative law, taxation, and public health. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the authors conclude that Schedule 3 would represent the most significant federal marijuana policy shift in over 50 years, but caution that it would fall well short of legalization. According to the study, Schedule 3 would formally recognize that marijuana has currently accepted medical use under the Controlled Substances Act. That shift would align federal classification more closely with modern scientific evidence and the widespread operation of state medical marijuana programs. However, marijuana would remain a controlled substance, and state legal adult use and medical markets would not automatically become federally lawful. The analysis finds that one of the most immediate impacts would be tax relief. Businesses would no longer be subject to Internal Revenue Code Section 280E, which bars standard business deductions for companies trafficking in Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 substances, and removing 280E would significantly lower effective tax burdens and improve cash flow for many operators. Still, the authors warn that increased capital access could accelerate industry consolidation without protective safeguards. Research barriers would also ease Schedule 1 status. Research barriers would also ease, and Schedule 1 status has long imposed heightened registration requirements and restricted access to research materials, limiting large-scale clinical studies. While DEA oversight would remain in place under Schedule 3, researchers would face fewer administrative hurdles, potentially expanding institutional participation and clinical trials. At the same time, the paper emphasizes what rescheduling would not accomplish, and it would not legalize marijuana federally, authorize interstate commerce, approve dispensary products, expunge criminal records, or resolve federal-state legal conflicts. Banking access would still require congressional action, and FDA standards for therapeutic claims would remain unchanged. The authors conclude that Schedule 3 should not be treated as a transitional step. They argue that federal agencies should prioritize expanding research access and strengthening public health oversight, while Congress addresses banking, interstate commerce, and criminal justice reform. Interesting, you guys. Look at that. The do's and don'ts of Schedule 3, what it does and what it doesn't do. And I know a lot of people, they were really hoping that they were going to be able to have interstate commerce under Schedule 3, but as I've said many times, it's not reality. What do y'all have to say about this?
Told you.
Yeah, right. Surprise, surprise. I'm not surprised by any of that. You know what I mean? I am surprised.
All the arguments that made people be like, oh, yeah, we need Schedule 3 because it's going to give us this and give us that. Oh, guess what? It gives us none of that. Oopsie, it just gives us more control.
Yep.
So,
well, you know, the thing about it, Jenny, is that this article didn't even touch on 280E, which is being like the biggest hype component of moving it to Schedule 3. And they didn't even touch on that at all in this article. And I'm a little disappointed in this article because of that.
It's almost like we should have just descheduled, huh?
I mean, we knew we weren't going to get that far right now.
Yeah. It's almost like they don't care about us.
Oh, Jenny, did you ever think they did?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but all those people that posted all those crying, clapping. Yeah, they did. Silly bears.
Well, they love to do that kind of stuff. Gary, I mean, you're an attorney. Do you agree with this analysis?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with it. I mean, I think that, you know, with regard to cannabis, marijuana, and hemp in this country, we have to take, unfortunately, baby steps, and we're dealing with a very challenging environment for legislation and regulatory change. Priorities are not in the right places. There's very many distractions in terms of what the government is focused on. And it just seems like we take one step forward and two steps back consistently.
Mm-hmm.
It does appear that this president has some interest in assisting people to get cannabis derived products for medical reasons,
Mm-hmm.
but that remains to be seen. Obviously, full spectrum CBD, which would be a big advantage for the country and for for the rescheduling, is something that they pretty much put a blockade on by
Mm-hmm.
saying that you can't have more than 0.4 milligrams of THC, because that creates everything as hot hemp, and therefore you can't even derive CBD products. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't really know what they're doing, but I don't think they're taking the time to even learn what they're doing. So we got to take what we get, I guess.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. We got to take what we can get, take our wins where we can get wins, and keep it pushing and push for more wins, and build off of that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the only thing that can be done. Any final thoughts on this, Jenny Beth?
Nope. Sorry, Mickey Hart was chewing down behind me, so I went on mute. Can't control him.
Well. Michael is still not here yet, so I guess I'm going to go into Michael's story. Because Florida Representative Byron Donalds, a Republican gubernatorial hopeful, admits to selling marijuana as a teen, you guys. That's right. In the race to be Florida's next governor, Republican Congressman Byron Donalds has the endorsement of President Donald J. Trump, a campaign war chest that has raised more than $45 million and a clear lead in every poll. But with those advantages comes some scrutiny of his past, including an arrest for marijuana possession when he was 18 years old. Donalds, now 47, has often told the story of what occurred back in 1997 when he was a student at Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. I was walking down the street, he recalled recently. I was leaving a party. Officers came up, asked me if I would empty my pockets. I said, yes, of course. I had a dime bag of marijuana in my pocket. That's the story. Byron Donalds acknowledges that he didn't just possess marijuana, he also sold it. And we now know that there was more to the story. For the first time, Donalds acknowledged that he didn't just possess marijuana, but he also but that he was also dealing at the time. In an interview with CBS Miami, Donalds confirmed an account first given by his ex-wife, Bisa Hall, nearly 2 years ago. We had this neighbor who sold drugs, and they got close, Hall told the online publication Florida Trident back in July of 2024. Byron thought that was his path to fix his money situation. He was making bad choices. It never made sense to me why he did it. I had a level of concern. I had to worry. What if he got arrested? That arrest came in October of 1997, and at that time, the Florida Trident story, Donalds did not respond publicly to questions about Hall's statements, but during a lengthy interview this week with CBS Miami covering his life and his campaign for governor, Donalds said she was correct and that he dealt drugs for a period of time, low-level amounts. He was also arrested in 2000 when he was 20 on a fraud charge, and during the CBS Miami interview, he repeatedly referred to his actions during that period of his life as being based on stupid decisions, bad decisions, and terrible decisions. In a quote, "There is a lot of decision I wish I could redo from those early years," he said. 18, 19, 20 were really tough years for me. Made a lot of bad decisions that I regret. But in life, you're not who you are at the lowest point in your life. What you do is you decide to just push forward and try to make sure you make better decisions in the future. And I would tell people, if you examine my life since 20 years old, my life has really been a story of redemption. He credits his current wife, Erica, for that change. At 21, I gave my life to Christ, he said. It's a story out there. I've talked about it before. I actually gave up my life to Christ at a Cracker Barrel when I was at work. But before giving my life to Christ, that person who got me going to church was my now wife, My girlfriend at the time, Erica. After his arrest on the drug charge, Donalds was allowed to enter a pre-trial diversion program, paid a $150 fine, and the charges were ultimately dropped. On the fraud charges, he pled no contest and later had his record sealed and then expunged. And yet, while in Congress, Donalds is sponsoring a crime bill that critics say would deny young adults in the District of Columbia the same opportunity for the second chance he received. Donalds defends the D.C. crimes bill, arguing prosecutors and judges were trying 18 to 24-year-olds as juveniles. And he says, in Florida, I had to face the music as an adult, Donalds said. In D.C., they were letting 24-year-olds be tried as juveniles, and that's just not right. But critics say Donalds is misstating the current law in the District of Columbia, and the current statutes in the District of Columbia refer to people under 25 as youthful offenders and would allow judges in certain cases to take the age of the defendant into consideration. Donalds would change that provision, allowing a lighter sentences for someone younger than 25, lowering the threshold to 18, and would also prevent the D.C. City Council from enacting any new sentencing measures. But Representative Jasmine Crockett, soon to be unemployed, took aim at Donalds. And she says during the House floor debates on Donalds' bill last year, Texas Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Unemployed Crockett took aim at Donalds. Imagine being a young man born to Jamaican and Panamanian parents who messed up once. Not once, but twice, she said. Imagine standing in front of a judge with your whole future hanging in the balance, and instead of prison, you are given a promise of mercy. Your record gets wiped clean, and you get a second chance at life. Now imagine taking that promise and turning it into a promotion. You go to college, you get a job, even become a member of Congress. That's what redemption looks like, she continued. That's what America is supposed to be about, and that is exactly the story of the next wannabe governor from Florida as a young man. Now, he's the face of a bill that would not afford young people in Washington, D.C. the same opportunities afforded to him, she said. Let me be real. If I had grown up under Donald Trump's America or under the very D.C. crime bills he's pushing, he wouldn't be standing here as a member of Congress. The bill passed by a vote of 240 to 179, with 31 Democrats crossing party lines to vote in support of the only one Republican voting it, and the bill has stalled in the Senate and is unlikely to be passed. Donald says the bill received bipartisan support in the House because crime in the District of Columbia was out of control before President Trump deployed the National Guard in the district. And addressing the charge of hypocrisy, Donalds told CBS Miami, Florida does have laws around diversion, being able to seal records. And yes, those are things that were afforded to me. And I look back on those days and I say, you know what helped me restart my life? So be it. But in DC, it was very different. And I would argue my critics who want to talk about that bill and want to have this false claim of hypocrisy, they say that because they want soft on crime policies in D.C., they do not take the fact that President Donald J. Trump has actually put the policies that has made the nation's capital safe once again, you guys. Well. I mean, I knew Byron Donalds had sold weed. I'm surprised that this is just kind of coming out. But I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. And apparently, selling weed is now, you know what I'm saying, looks good on a presidential or on a federal election resume, apparently. What do y'all have to say about this?
This is why I'm never running for office.
Because you got caught selling weed?
No, because I mean, my ex-husband would talk crap too. I think it's really embarrassing that his ex-wife decided to go ahead and put all this out. But it's like, okay, who cares? He sold a little bit of weed. I do agree also that, you know, I mean, there's first-time offender provisions in the laws, right? So like, you know, 24 years old, you probably knew what you were doing.
Exactly. You know, just because you couldn't rent a car doesn't mean you didn't know what you were doing.
You just have to pay an underage driver fee.
I'm not too sure about that. Maybe in some states, possibly. Maybe possibly in some states. Gary, any thoughts on this? Great red state of Florida.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, he's not suggesting he didn't know what he was doing, right? But
he knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing. You know, I think that it's an interesting situation with marijuana where, you know, they they have grouped the desire to kind of recompense for folks who were maybe wrongfully or kind of inappropriately faced with severe sanctions for something that they should not have been. But I also think that, and then they go even further and give them a license because they were fortunate enough to be busted for selling a dime bag. I find that misguided use of regulatory discretion because I think if you want to recompense, whether it be African Americans for the feelings, for the injustices that have been done to them, or just people in the drug business, then you should figure out a way to do that based on revenue. But I don't think giving out licenses to somebody like that is a productive exercise. And I think that they take a very complicated business and group an even more complicated recompense, and it has never worked. But the short of it is, I'm not offended by the fact that the guy sold a nickel bag.
I think ultimately it might bode well for Florida to have him as the next governor, seeing as how you guys have been having so many issues with Meatball Ron.
Well, the only reason we don't have adult use is Ronnie D. So yes, that would be a good thing down here.
Well, I thought the only reason you guys don't have adult use is because you guys can't get a bill over the 60% threshold.
Well, right now they weren't even able to get the number of signatures apparently to get it even on the ballot.
So I mean, maybe Floridians don't want adult use.
Maybe not. It seems like, the plugs continue to be prevalent. Hemp derived continues to be prevalent. So maybe it's not that important.
Maybe because Florida is such a retirement state that everyone's like, oh, you know what? We're good with just medical. You know what I'm saying? We all qualify because we're old.
And I don't think that's the case at all.
You don't think that's the case? I mean,
no.
Jenny's rolling her eyes.
Yes, Jason.
I think that might be the reason why.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, okay. Those strippers hanging off the ceiling at 11 are definitely, up there in age, right?
Well, there's still some young people there.
All right, Jason, that makes absolutely no sense. So, but okay.
Whatever, Jenny Beth, you're such a hater. Such a hater.
I'm tired.
Such a hater. Well, on that, we're gonna roll into our next commercial, and we are gonna be right back.
Rescheduling cannabis, which was classified as more dangerous than fentanyl. Trump's action will destroy the cartel's illicit black market, expand medical research, and ensure seniors and veterans safely receive the care they need. Thank President Trump for delivering on another America First promise.
Yes, and we're back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website, www.highat9news.com. Please make sure that you're following us on X and Rumble. And also, too, join us on Sunday, March 15th. Outside of Mann's Chinese Theater as we join Catalyst in protesting all of these pedophiles. 2 p.m. on Monday, 2 p.m. on Sunday, March 15th.
Under President Trump, America is back. Trump's delivered the largest tax cut in history, putting more money in our pockets and restored America's economic dominance. Promises made, promises kept. Now it's time to fulfill another promise from President Trump and reschedule cannabis, which supports over 400,000 jobs and creates billions of dollars in economic growth. Reschedule cannabis and stack another win, Mr. President. America First Agriculture Action Inc. is responsible for the contents of this advertising.
And we are back, and we are going to roll right into Mr. Gary Kaminsky. Gary is a regulatory compliance attorney with over 39 years of experience working in highly regulated industries. And for the past 10 years, Gary has focused his practice on the cannabis, marijuana, and hemp space. advising public multi-state operators, hemp beverage manufacturers, and other participants in the cannabis supply chain. Prior to that, Gary was an SEC enforcement attorney, in-house counsel for proprietary trading firms, broker-dealers, and a principal at several hedge funds. Gary's expertise is in developing, implementing, and maintaining regulatory enterprise risk management systems to mitigate lapses that can cause disruption to clients' businesses. It is none other the commissioner himself, Mr. Gary Kaminsky.
Yeah, well, we're here to continue to talk about the Farm Bill.
Here we go.
And apparently the 2026 Farm Bill, as currently amended, won't be the vehicle to delay the November 2026 implementation of the federal government's ban on intoxicating hemp products, at least for now. The House Committee on Agriculture voted 34-17 on March 5th to approve House Resolution 7567, the Farm, Food, and National Security Act of 2026. They're calling that the 2026 Farm Bill, after spending more than 20 hours marking up the bill on Tuesday, Wednesday, and into the early morning hours on Thursday. The legislation broadly addresses the nation's agricultural and food policies, but one provision in the 80-plus page bill would define hemp as a cannabis plant that does not test higher than 0.3% total THC, including THCA, meaning it would remove language from the 2018 Farm Bill that includes a 0.3% Delta 9 THC threshold, often referred to as the quote-unquote loophole that allowed intoxicating hemp products to proliferate nationwide. The federal government's forthcoming intoxicating hemp product ban takes it a step further. In appropriate negotiations, Senate Republicans slipped a provision into November 2025's government reopening deal to also outlaw any hemp-derived products containing more than 0.4 milligrams of THC, as well as those containing synthetic, whatever that may mean, Delta 8 THC or unnatural HHC cannabinoids. Although bipartisan lawmakers are hoping to repeal or delay the intoxicating product ban, House Agriculture Committee Chairman Glenn G.T. Thompson, Republican from Pennsylvania, has made his intentions clear. The 2026 Farm Bill should deal with agriculture, hemp plants, not finished goods hemp products. The Ag Appropriation Bill that passed last fall brought clarity to the industry on what is or is not allowable under the definition of hemp. Thompson said during the week's markup, importantly to many in this room today, the language addressed the issue of final form products that have been the source of many public health concerns since 2018 Farm Bill because they lacked a federal regulatory structure. A comprehensive regulatory framework for these products falls outside the jurisdiction of this committee. Instead, Thompson said hemp-derived products in their final form fall within the jurisdiction of the House Committee on Energy and Commerce and the U.S. FDA. They need to engage promptly on this issue. Still, Republican James Baird, Republican from Indiana, filed an amendment to delay the federal hemp ban ahead of today's markup of the 2026 Farm Bill. In January, Baird filed a proposal, the Hemp Planting Predictability Act, as standalone legislation to delay the intoxicating hemp product ban by 2 years, expressing concern that farmers would not have enough time to prepare for the regulatory changes. Planting and growing crops require planning well in advance, he said. Congress creates a regulatory environment in the 2018 Farm Bill that allowed for certain investments, and farmers were operating within this environment. Baird was absent from this week's markup hearing after his wife of 59 years, Denise Baird, died March 1st following complications from a car accident. Thompson and Agriculture Committee ranking member Engel Craig, a Democrat from Minnesota, said he intended to withdraw the amendment during the markup. Still, Craig, who sponsors the Hemp Planting Predictability Act, presented the amendment before withdrawing it on Baird's behalf. The way my Republican colleagues have gone about this in the appropriation process is just plain wrong, Craig said. Literally, planning decisions are being made right now by hemp farmers. That's why I've called for a comprehensive regulatory framework for the safe production and marketability and marketing of hemp-derived products. A framework that puts in place clear rules of the road for growers and retailers, including protections for children and safeguards for consumers, and brings the relevant federal agencies, whether it's FDA, USDA, or other related agencies, into the process at the appropriate point for the appropriate product. The Congresswoman added that she was concerned that big whiskey distillers in Kentucky are trying to restrict consumer choice in Minnesota and the rest of the nation. While regulating intoxicating hemp products was off the table in the committee's markup, Thompson said the 2026 Farm Bill aims to support the country's hemp farmers in a couple of different ways, including through lifting regulatory burdens for industrial hemp producers. We direct the USDA to access more laboratories for our hemp farmers to be able to have their commodity tested, having greater access to those laboratories, the chairman said. Also, we have provided the states more flexibility in this space. The current version of the 2026 Farm Bill directs the U.S. Department of Agriculture to conduct with the DEA and consult with the DEA and establish a process for accrediting laboratories to test hemp, removing a requirement that labs be DEA registered to test hemp, which the USDA has repeatedly delayed enforcing due to inadequate DE registered laboratory testing capacities. The 2026 Farm Bill would also allow hemp farmers to self-designate their production type as only industrial hemp, such as fiber and grain, or as hemp grown for any purpose other than industrial hemp, such as cannabinoids. Those who self-designated as industrial hemp farmers could reduce their sampling or testing requirements through visual inspection, performance-based sampling methodologies, certified seed, or similar procedures when developing sampling plans, according to the bill. In addition, industrial hemp farmers would no longer have a 10-year ineligibility period for felony convictions related to controlled substances. However, farmers who say they are industrial hemp growers and knowingly produce cannabinoid hemp would be banned for 5 years. After Craig withdrew Baird's amendment, Thompson still allowed those on the 54-member committee to comment. Republican Alma Adams, a Democrat, not surprisingly from North Carolina, took the opportunity. North Carolina farmers and small businesses have built operations under the existing hemp framework, and a sudden federal rollback would create confusion, disrupt interstate commerce, and destabilize emerging markets across the state. So the extension maintains stability while giving Congress time to establish a clear regulatory pathways instead of triggering a disruptive rollback before a workable federal framework is in place. This is the issue we're facing right now. The government and Congress has finally decided that they want to address hemp and the Farm Bill after years, I guess 8 years now, of nothing. And instead of actually doing something productive, they, in typical regulatory fashion, are taking an elephant gun to a flea and eliminating an entire $28 billion industry without taking into account the ramifications and the practical reality of cannabinoids. Clearly, Mitch McConnell could care less about hemp farmers, notwithstanding they're the constituents who have put him into office perpetually for the last however many years, 30, 40 years, whatever it is. And he's more interested, as I understand from Kentuckians, of getting the money from Brown-Forman and other bourbon manufacturers to fund his library of all his incredible workings from all his incredible time on the Hill. That is driving him to shut down the hemp business. And it's simple as that. It is clear that Congress is not likely to extend this without some regulatory framework. The concept of going to Congress and saying, just extend it for a year or two and we'll figure it out, is not going to work this time because of all the hysteria. that has been created from the reefer madness type stories of children and others being harmed by hemp products, which is wholly untrue from a large perspective. So what we will see is what we will see. And whether or not November 12th becomes the disruptive and incredibly confusing development in the hemp business that it will be. So that's my thought on this.
Interesting. Go for it, Jenny. I see you're all flared up.
Jason, remember when you said that they intentionally legalized cannabis farm bill?
They did.
Well, this proves that was not the intent.
They did. They've
They're
changed their
closing
mind.
that loophole, Jason. They're closing the loophole.
It's not a loophole.
That's exactly what's happening.
It's not a loophole, Jenny.
Yeah,
Not a loophole. I think this will all get turned around. I think they want to promote this for a while to make it, make the public perception. But I think in the 11th hour there'll be something that comes through, some type of extension or whatnot. I don't think that's ultimate that this is going to go through in this final form. I'm not sold on that as of yet.
I mean, one of the I attended a conference a week ago here in Miami of all the major players in the hemp-derived beverage business, including alcohol distributors, suppliers, and large retailers.
Was Anheuser-Busch there?
Excuse me?
Was Anheuser-Busch there?
They were not.
Okay.
But what seems to be happening is that the low-dose beverage business is potentially breaking off from the THCA and the high dose and exotic cannabinoid businesses because there is a pathway through the 3-tier system and through alcohol beverage retailers that seems to be a win-win for everybody. So the hope is that survives somehow. Some feel that that's a big mistake, that they're not going to allow one part of hemp to survive and others not. But that remains to be seen, because what's going on down here, at least in Florida, is every major retailer of alcohol beverage products, as well as many major mainstream supermarkets, are carrying low-dose THC beverages. And that's a wonderful thing. So we'll see what happens.
This is the thing that kind of kills me about this, and I don't think that the beverage guys should break off, because to me that's how you do divide and conquer kind of thing is kind of my thought process on that. And the thing about it is this is if THCA is eliminated and all these other hemp products are eliminated, and you just have beverages that are out there allowed to be that, it is going to disenfranchise a lot of the hemp producers in the first place. And then all of a sudden you're going to have a lack of potential production for all of these products. And I don't think any of these beverage manufacturers are calculating that in their quantitative analysis for their outputs. And ultimately, it may come a point where there's not enough hemp farmers at all to fulfill all this, and then the price of hemp is going to skyrocket, and then all these beverages are going to be astronomically high in price to the consumer, to where the consumer will totally reject that model in stores.
Well, that certainly has been espoused, saying that the supply chain will not perpetuate just for beverages,
exactly,
which is really only $1 billion of the $20 billion business.
Exactly.
And that is clearly a risk. The hope would be that the hemp-derived beverage supply chain finds a way to proliferate. Well, and we just don't know.
And this is the other thing when it comes to enforcement. All right, let's just say it does go that way, and let's just say that THC beverages are the only thing that are permissible for sale. Then you're going to have all these people that are growing hemp or whatnot, and And most of these people are still going to be growing it for THCA flower and still just selling it the same way that they've been selling it, whatever, you know what I mean? Because there's going to be a lack of enforcement in all of these different places. So it's still going to thrive, and the trap market is still going to live. And then you're going to have all of these people that are growing for the trap that are just going to be able to be like, oh, no, I'm growing for beverage manufacturers. I'm growing for beverage manufacturers whenever they get popped. And so this is just is so stupid all the way around. Just deschedule the whole plan altogether. Just reenact the Farm Bill and increase the 0.3 to 1% and call it a day. It's not that difficult, guys.
Well, the 1% wouldn't do it, but you have to increase the 0.4 milligram to like 5.
If you increased it to 1% and you had the same testing and had the same language as the current Farm Bill based off of a dry weight, then that would be an increase, and that would cover everything.
Not with the 0.4 milligram cap, though, on finished products.
Well, that's a state guideline. That's not in the Farm Bill.
It's in the November.
This new provision.
Appropriations bill.
Yes, exactly. That's my point. And I'm saying just to renew the old Farm Bill and up the 0.3 to 1% and call it a day. I'm not talking about including anything from the appropriations bill.
Yeah, but without addressing the appropriations bill, that doesn't really help the hemp farmers.
It does if they pass a new Farm Bill. And that is addressed. They're not going to say, oh, because this is an appropriations bill. If anything, that measure would die out when that appropriations bill expires. So it would address it.
I love it when Jason argues with attorneys. It's just hilarious.
I'm not arguing. We're having a discussion. I'm not wrong.
You're wrong.
Not even close.
Okay.
Not even close, Jenny Beth. But that's cute that you think that. Just so you know, Jenny Beth is the biggest Jason Beck hater, just so you know, Gary.
Well, I mean, I participated a couple weeks ago, and I just really enjoyed the jousting that went on.
And even Brian Dombrowski agrees with me, Jenny Beth Dills, who just get in the chat. He says the 0.4 goes away with a new Farm Bill language. It overrides it. See, exactly what I was saying. Exactly what I was saying.
I have heard nobody say that.
Well, you heard me say it, and you heard Brian Dombrowski say it.
And whoever Brian Dombrowski may be, but I'm not really sure that that's accurate. But I can't sit here and tell you guys are wrong.
But I can say. I can sit here, be on a reasonable doubt, and testify to the fact that I'm right, Gary.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I'm right. I promise. Oh man, Gary. I mean, ultimately, I hope they get this together, and I really do not want to see the beverage faction fracture off from the hemp space, because it's just going to weaken the whole system. It's going to weaken the whole lobbying effort, and these beverage guys are going to be sold a fake bill of goods, thinking that they're going to be saved, and everyone else is going to get washed up by the wayside. But really, it's going to be to their own detriment as well with everybody else. It's not a smart move, in my opinion. These guys are being sold a fake bill of goods, these beverage guys.
That, obviously, if the supply chain is not big enough to perpetuate, that is a problem. But I don't think that it is. I think it's a losing argument to try to save THCA flower and to try to save, 1,000 milligram gummies in smoke shops. That's a loser.
I mean, let people buy what they want. What's such the problem with this? Let people buy what they want.
That I support that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I just don't think it's going to happen.
You guys are bending the knee to these prohibitionist arguments. It's okay.
Just reading the tea leaves, I think.
Oh, I read the fan leaves, Gary. I love when
banana leaves.
Yeah, I love when I annoy Jenny Beth. It's so great. And on that, we're gonna roll into our next commercial, and we're gonna be right back.
I think Jenny Beth is tired today.
She is. She needs a nappy nap.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man? Yeah, I left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Yes, and we are back. And we are going to roll right into Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, a 501c3 that helps justice-impaired individuals get their life back on track after they've been victims of the track. It is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills, the tired one.
Oh, man. Maybe one day Jason will read what my company actually does and I get some business out of this show. But hey, what do you know?
Well, you can provide me some language if you'd like me to read something officially.
You've known me for years. You know what I do, but okay. I got you.
Yeah.
All right. So somebody's in big trouble, Jason Beck.
Oh, man, I love this. I love it already.
In troubling new development out of California, 3 young elementary school students were hospitalized after allegedly being given cannabis-infused gummies by a substitute teacher during an after-school program. According to a newly filed civil lawsuit in Los Angeles County Superior Court, 59-year-old Felicia Boyd is accused of distributing THC-laced candy to 3 brothers aged 8 to 11 at Sierra Elementary School in Lancaster as a way to celebrate the youngest child's birthday last April. All right. The boys reportedly became lethargic and unwell after consuming the gummies, later seeking emergency medical treatment for suspected poisoning. One family member recounted the child saying he couldn't feel his body after eating the candy. We've all been there. The lawsuit names the substitute teacher, the school, and the district, alleging negligence in hiring, supervision, and training, and claims that school officials were notified of the incident. A court hearing is scheduled for June. I mean, this kind of story kind of speaks for itself. Felicia Boyd, that was dumb.
This happened in L.A., Jenny?
Yeah, in Lancaster.
Get out of here. A substitute teacher, she's like, you know what? All these little bad little snot-nosed eaters, I'm just going to give them some gummies and call it a day. Nap time for everybody.
I mean, they were celebrating his birthday, right? So maybe it was 420. I don't know. But this sucks. Those are little kids. Like,
How old were they?
Consuming cannabis. 8 to 11. Nobody should be consuming cannabis at 8 to 11 unless it's for a very serious medical condition and absolutely supervised. Like, this was just egregious. And they're probably scared. Those are babies.
I mean, so here's the question. One, why would she do this?
She said she was celebrating the youngest boy, the 8-year-old's birthday.
And decided to just give the kids gummies.
Yep.
That's not an adequate reason.
There's no adequate reason. There's no good excuse for what she did, Jason.
Well, I'm not saying that there's a good excuse, but like she could say, hey, you know what, these ones were over rambunctious or da-da-da-da, so I gave it to them to try to calm them down a little bit or something. They wouldn't stop jumping on their school desk or something. Like something like that would make more sense than just the fact that they were celebrating a birthday.
I'm a mom, and I don't care what your excuse is. If you give my child gummies, I'm coming to the school and burning it down.
Vicious mama bear over there. What do you think, Gary?
There's no excuse for that. I mean, you can't, you're not giving alcohol to 8-year-olds at their parties. This is just a stupid thing. And it's somebody who, frankly, I don't know what the laws are, the enforcement are, but the book should be thrown at somebody who does something like that.
Do you think she's going to lose her license?
Yeah. I think she's going to hopefully lose her freedom. She should go to jail. Yeah. She drugged a child.
Her license should be the least of her problems.
Well, it just kind of amazes me because there's some companies that have, employed minors and had minors on their facilities that haven't lost their licenses. And so I'm just wondering if it's like
not
a
8 to 11-year-olds.
You'd be surprised, Gary.
Well, I guess that's California.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Thank you, Gavin.
Yeah. Anyways, just wanted to just throw that little tidbit in there for you guys. But I have, I think, some good news for you guys, because maybe this could be the savings of the hemp industry, Gary. And maybe,
Oh boy. Yeah.
and maybe the beverage break off. This is going to be the thing that they're betting on. Because there's a recent study that finds hundreds of industrial uses for the marijuana plant waste. That's right. A review of hundreds of peer-reviewed studies published in the Journal of Cannabis and Cannabinoid Research finds that leftover material from the marijuana plant, often treated as waste, may have significant value across numerous industries, including textiles, bioplastics, fuels, and food products. The research was conducted by scientists from Universidade Estadual de Campinas and Universidade Federal de Bahia in Brazil, using preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis guidelines. The team analyzed existing research on how byproducts from cannabis can be reused or repurposed, and their review examined studies collected from several scientific databases as well as specialized platforms focused on marijuana research and innovation. In total, the researchers identified 262 relevant studies addressing the reuse or recycling of marijuana plant residues, and among the most commonly studied materials were stems, which accounted for 48.2% of the research. Seeds represented 21% of studies, while post-extraction residue made up 9.7%, and other parts of the plant, including leaves and roots, were explored far less frequently, despite containing bioactive compounds that researchers say may have untapped potential. Across the studies analyzed, the team documented 328 separate technologies or applications for marijuana plant byproducts, and the largest share of these uses fell within technological and innovation sectors, accounting for 37.5%, followed closely by industrial applications at 36.9%. And examples include textile fibers, biodegradable plastics, biofuels, functional foods, absorbent materials used for filtration, and natural cosmetic ingredients. The review also found that Italy, China, and the United States produced the largest volume of scientific work on the topic, and according to the researchers, expanding the reuse of marijuana plant biomass could support a circular economy by reducing agricultural waste while creating new industrial materials and products. However, they note that regulatory barriers and lack of clinical and toxicological research continue to limit broader use of some marijuana byproducts, particularly in food and animal feed. And the study concludes by saying, the residual biomass of C. sativa holds high technological, environmental, and economic value. Strategic valorization demands regulatory advancement, the development of green technologies, and the strengthening of multidisciplinary research. Industrial cannabis emerges as a driver of ecological, social, and economic transformation towards sustainable circular production systems, they say. Well, sounds like the Green New Deal. That might be the actual Green New Deal, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. There needs to be a large infusion of cash into the industry to create a lot of these businesses for these industrial purposes, but I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, I'm not that well versed on the industrial uses of hemp. Obviously Hemp Creek and the other things. My understanding is that there is a industry in that regard, but I don't believe that hemp farmers were doing any kind of significant business prior to the Farm Bill opening up hemp-derived products with cannabinoids in them for consumer use. So I'm not really sure how large the opportunities are in industrial hemp that, they're trying to focus on with the Farm Bill. I'm not sure it's enough to proliferate the hemp industry.
I agree in the U.S. I know that in South America, a lot of El Salvador. Sorry, Brain is the government's working on a hemp industry development so that they can replace a lot of building materials with hemp. But I don't think in the U.S. that we're quite that progressive.
I mean, all we got to do, we're about to get a large influx of capital for investment, and I would love to see some of that federal money that's going to be given out go into critical infrastructure for the purpose of bringing back the Industrial Revolution, and this could play a major key role. So hopefully that will happen. But I agree with you, Jenny Beth. It probably won't, but I'm going to keep hope alive.
When's the last time you've seen federal funding spent the way we'd like it to go?
There's been a few times that I've liked how federal funding was spent.
Oh, please do opine on that.
Well, for one, there's a few companies that I know that have received federal funds that I definitely support and stand by, and I'm glad that they received that necessary funding.
I approve of the federal funding for the piece of paper that wrote Kristi Noem's termination.
Fair. See, I approve of that too.
Yeah,
I'm approve of that too. Hopefully, we can get another one of those pieces of paper for Pam Bondi. That would be great.
Yeah. Nancy Mason's on her ass, boy. I love Nancy.
Man, it's so great. Nancy is on her. Yeah. She's filing papers on her to have her removed. So hopefully that becomes successful.
You used to be a big Pam Bondi fan, Jason.
No, I was never a big Pam Bondi fan. I was remaining hopefully optimistic that she would do the right thing and a good job, but she has not done a good job. Just like I was hopefully optimistic about Kash Patel, but I think Kash Patel has totally dropped the ball every which way. And yesterday, and so both of those two people, I have absolutely zero confidence in their ability to actually execute and do the job on the behest of the president. I think both of them should be removed and replaced.
So now that we drained the swamp, we need to clean out the cabinet? Is that what you're saying?
Apparently there's some dust in the cabinet and some cobwebs that need to be, cleaned up. Yep, that is true. That is true. Someone put a plate where the cups go, apparently, Jenny Beth, and they need to...
Oh, that pisses me off.
Yeah, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Any final thoughts, Gary? All right. Well, on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. And thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. Thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Gabriel. They're somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.